another episode of Wow You Can Cook. It is episode number 24. And today we are making Dr. Gloria's dairy-free chocolate pudding with an East Indian spice surprise. Now, for our members that are going to catch us on the replay, I'm going to go ahead and go over the ingredients on this. And this one actually has two sets of ingredients. There is the ingredients for the pudding itself. And for those of you who want to tackle the spice blend, I've got a set of ingredients to go over for those who want to make their own spice blend. But you don't have to, you can get a premix. So for the ingredients on the pudding, you're going to want to start off with a 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. And it is preferred Guitar brand to be used, which you can get off of Amazon. You want an 1/8 cup of sugar in the raw. And you're going to want approximately an 1/8 of a teaspoon of monk fruit powder. And this is basically approximate because you want to adjust it to your taste. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch with a 1/2 teaspoon of Baharat spice blend. Now, this is what I'm going to give you additional ingredients for.
Right.
1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, 2 cups of unsweetened almond milk, 4 ounces of vegan or conventional semi-sweet chocolate chips or chopped chocolate, and a 1/3 cup of tahini. Now, those are the ingredients you're going to need for the pudding. For those of you who would like to tackle the spice blend, you're going to need the
That sounds like quite a challenge.
Right. For me, it would be. So for the spice blend, you'll want a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of coriander, a 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom, 1 tablespoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon of allspice, 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, and last but not least, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves.
Wow.
And that is your ingredients. So Dr. Gloria, take us away.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you for that introduction. It's interesting. I don't know if you all experienced that, but when I printed out the recipe from the newsletter, it chopped off. See, I didn't think I had told you about the chocolate, the semi-sweet, but it is in there. So I don't know if it chopped it off when you printed it or if my printer chopped it off, but it doesn't show that. So I'm glad that it's on there. So let's start, first of all, with those of you that are cooking. Nancy, you're just taking notes, right? Okay, that's okay. So is Magda today. She's not cooking. Okay, so nobody's made it in advance, right?
No, I did.
Oh, you did. Okay, Teresa, tell me what you did. Did you buy the? We have plenty of time, so. Let's make this fun. Did you buy the Baharat spice blend, or did you make it?
I made it.
Okay.
Wow.
And what did you made it too, Linda?
Yeah.
Did you make it? Yeah.
I had all those spices.
I did too.
I know. So there's no reason to buy it. But the thing I'm going to share with you is I'm going to go ahead, since you ladies were so adventurous, I'm going to go ahead and make some quick recipes for you that we're not going to do on the show. We'll just post them. I'll ask Tracy wherever she can post them. She's the genius at that. And so that you can use that spice blend. It's amazing. If you're cooking like chicken and rice or chicken and quinoa, use the Baharat and salt and pepper. That's all you have to use, because think of everything that's in there. If you're barbecuing and you've got a chicken breast or chicken thighs, put that on there. Put it into the marinade. You put it on the barbecue, the whole neighborhood's going to want to come and eat. I mean, it's very aromatic, okay? Isn't it, Linda?
Yes.
Teresa, isn't it? I mean, you just take a sniff of it and it's like, oh, I want more. Okay, so don't hesitate to make it. It's just that I wanted you to have the option of buying it if you didn't want to make it. Usually you buy it, and after you finish that jar, what I do is I have the original jars for most things because I don't want to have to relabel and get another jar. And then I just put on there homemade or Dr. G's or something so that I know it's my blend, not the one that from the store. Okay. The other thing that it's amazing for is something like the oatmeal, like the gluten-free oatmeal or rice cereal. Oh my goodness. Because you usually put cinnamon in something like that to give it that little earthy flavor, right? Well, the Baharat is amazing. So I'm going to make some, maybe 4 or 5 recipes, 6 recipes that would be simple, not basically giving you the whole recipe, maybe. It depends on how much time I have. But basically, if you're using chicken, this is how you can use it. If you're barbecuing, this is how you can use it. Put it in a marinade, etc. Okay? So that you don't say, okay, this is great, but what do I do with the rest of it? Okay? All right. So now I want to know from Teresa, since she's the only one that made it, did you just make it or did you refrigerate it? Now it's cold.
It's cold now. I made it yesterday.
Okay. Have you tasted it?
No.
Okay. So don't cheat. Just wait. I'm glad you made it ahead of time because the other people
right
cooking
here.
are. Let's see. Let's see. What did you
I think
put
Linda
on it?
made it ahead.
Oh,
Oh,
Linda,
God,
you did too?
Figure out how to do this.
Did you make it
Oh,
ahead?
no,
No,
she
I
didn't.
didn't think so.
I misunderstood.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's okay. What did you put on it? Did you put any berries or anything?
I just made it plain because I was waiting to see what you thought would be a good idea.
Thank you for saying that because I'll give you some good ideas that maybe are things you don't think about normally. Okay, so for those of you that are cooking, follow the instructions, which I'm going to repeat for those of you listening to the replay. You're going to combine all the dry ingredients and the almond milk. So in other words, you're going to be cooking this. So you're going to combine them all, whisk them together in a room temperature or cold saucepan, not one that's been heated. So you're going to whisk together the cocoa powder, which is the guitar that I was talking about that is so amazing. Nancy, have you tried guitar?
Didn't we use it in another recipe? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in a red metal can.
I was gonna look. I thought I bought it, but if
You
not,
might
I'm
have.
gonna make it.
Hey, Steph, have you ever used the guitar chocolate in the metal can?
I have some, but I haven't used it. So I made,
Maybe
like
not.
she said, like Nancy said, I think it was in another recipe.
Okay, good. Then that's because that's the very best. Okay, and for the sake of Nancy and somebody else that might have joined late, I'll talk to you about the sipping chocolate, Nancy, in just a minute because we were just kind of talking in the beginning here. So you're going to mix together. In other words, whip it all together. The dry ingredients in a saucepan that is not heated. Okay, so you're going to put your granulated sugar, which I use sugar in the raw. Put a little bit of sweetener, just like Lena said to you. Do not put a whole teaspoon of monk fruit or stevia because what you want to do is mix it first, taste it, and then add your sweetener little by little if you're going to be adding some of the natural sweetener along with it. I have to do that to keep the sugar content down. If you're not concerned about that, just use your sugar in the raw. And then your cornstarch. And of course, we all know cornstarch is what thickens it. Yes?
So we can use something other than the cornstarch, like an arrowroot or something, or?
Yes, you can. That's a great question, Steph. You can use arrowroot, and you can also use white rice flour. Now, white rice flour, just for your and I know I don't eat white rice for obvious reasons, but it's if you can equate what thickens the same as cornstarch, it's white rice flour. Okay, when I want a real silky gravy or a real beautiful white sauce or something, I use the white rice flour because it's not that much and it's not going to hurt my blood sugar. Okay, but the arrowroot I love, but it takes a lot of arrowroot to get to the consistency that you want for a pudding. Just like I used arrowroot, was it yesterday? Sunday, yeah. We had pancakes. We usually try to have pancakes like on the weekends, gluten-free, almond flour, coconut flour, and I make my own syrup. Well, I decided I'm not going to use cornstarch. I really don't want any more corn. And I used the arrowroot. Oh my God, it took forever. Instead of like 2 tablespoons and a cup and a half of water, I had to use like 5 tablespoons. And then when the arrowroot thickens, it's immediate. It like wham, all of a sudden it's thick. So that's the only thing to be careful of, Steph. But yes, you can definitely use it. Just remember that arrowroot will pretend like it's not going to thicken. Okay.
Okay.
And you add more, and I make a slurry. I added a little bit more water to my syrup in the little mixing cup, and I added it slowly, and it pretends like it's not going to thicken. Then all of a sudden, wham, it's really thick. So just be careful with that, okay? But yes, you can
Okay.
definitely use arrowroot. Okay. So then after you do all of that, you're going to pour in the almond milk, make sure everything is dissolved, and then put the pan with the pudding on the stove. Put it on a medium high. Do not put it on high. It's going to burn because I've burned it. And bring the pudding to a very gentle boil. Is that what you did, Teresa? Did you follow
Yeah.
it that way? Okay.
Yeah.
And did yours stick or get too brown on the bottom or start burning?
It did not. I was using a whisk though, so there was a little bit of powder left in the bottom when I went to serve it up. So next time I make it, I'll get a spatula in there. I must not have got that one corner closest to me. I didn't get all.
Yeah, but that happens to me too. Sometimes it doesn't get into the corners. You're right. Yeah. So what I usually do is if I'm using a whisk, I'll use a big serving spoon or something and also give it a couple of swirls in between, the big whisk.
Right.
Yeah, otherwise you're right. It can get caught in the corners. Okay. So once it's a slow roaring boil, okay, keep stirring, and it may take 1 to 2 minutes. Yesterday, adding the arrowroot, it took me 6 minutes to cook what would have taken me 2 because it took longer, and then wham, it was really thick. So then remove that pan from the heat, and now add your tahini and your chocolate nibbles if you're using them. It really is good with the chocolate nibbles. And let that melt into the pudding until it's completely smooth. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have any trouble with it?
The only trouble I
Melting?
would say is how to get the tahinis, like it separates at the store to get it all stirred and globby. I don't know.
I just use believe it or not, I use the back of a wooden spoon and I just stir the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And then you measure it out. Yeah, it does get strange. Yeah, depending on the temperature too, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, that is your pudding. But I want all of you that are cooking to make it and taste it. And then I'm going to give you some other hints. Make it and taste it after it's gotten thick. Take a nice taste. Be careful it's hot. Don't burn yourself. And while you're doing that, put your thumbs up whenever you've got it where you're able to taste it. Nancy, and I don't know if Steph was able to hear all of this. What I was talking about was that the anybody that had been to Italy, if they had had sipping chocolate, have you had it? Have you been there?
No.
No. You serve it in they serve it at like, little sidewalk stands and stuff. It's quite famous. It's as famous as its gelato and just as habit forming. They serve it in little tiny Demetes cups, like the Turkish coffee cups, the little ones. Okay. And it's almost identical to this with the guitar type chocolate. Okay. Melted. And you don't thicken it as much. You want it to be thick, but not so thick that you're going to gel a pudding, and you serve it hot. And they usually serve it with a dash of homemade whipped cream on top and some cinnamon. Oh my gosh. So
wow.
I've served it for Christmas parties in these little tiny cups. And when I make it in a big, like a crock pot. Not as big as a crock pot, but those crock pot type things that keep things warm. And people just go nuts over it. I mean, it's like, I know I shouldn't have more because it's really rich, but they're on their third or fourth little cup. Somebody said to me, why don't you just give us a mug? It's like, because it's so rich, not everybody wants that much. So that's what we were talking about when you joined in. So you didn't miss
Thank
much.
you.
That's a fun thing to do, like for the holidays or on a cold day and you got somebody over, you can whip it up in 5 or 6 minutes and serve them this cool little thing. I also have put a little shot of brandy in it, and it's delicious. Just enough to, like a splash, just enough to give it that depth of flavor, because once it hits the hot pudding, right, or the hot drink, it's no more alcohol. So you can do that as well. Okay,
Wow.
so Magda, any questions? You're writing. No questions?
No, I was just making notes about, what else you can use for cornstarch and how you incorporated the tahini with the back of the wooden spoon. Just those kind of notes I was taking.
Okay, good, good. And the other thing too is, Teresa, I had some tahini. Hi, Judy. I had some tahini that for some reason was really hard to stir. So I just put it in my little mini food processor and said, the heck with this. I'm done stirring. I'm going to just mix it in there. And it was great.
Mhm.
And then once I put it back in the container in the refrigerator, it stayed okay. So that may be something you
okay.
want to do too. Okay. Just, don't fool with it. Just put it in the food processor and let it blend. Okay.
Hey,
Judy,
Dr.
you're not
Gloria?
cooking, right?
No.
No. Okay. Yes. Who's asking?
Teresa,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have your recipe printed? Because I just use mine electronically, but I thought you said if we bought the Baharat spice, we should find a no pepper one.
No, not black pepper, hon. Remember, black pepper isn't a nightshade. You should find one that doesn't have like red pepper or chili flakes or paprika.
Oh, okay.
No. Black pepper. It's interesting because until I got to know Middle Easterners and I worked with Middle Easterners in the 80s, I didn't think anybody put pepper like in their chocolate or in their, it was not a big thing. It was salt and pepper, right? American way. They use pepper for everything, and it's so good for you as long as you're getting a good quality pepper. That's why I like the one you grind yourself, because it is fragrant, and it's a richer, deeper, pepperier, if that's a word, taste than just the plain old, black pepper that you buy off the store. So pepper is that kind of pepper. It's black pepper, yeah, black or white pepper. If you wanted it hot, like I made listen to this. I'm gonna chat a little while the ladies are cooking. I had a recipe for an old recipe, but I remade it for egg roll in a bowl, because I can't have the crispy outsides, right? Because I can't find any egg roll crisp or anything that are gluten free, so I can't have it. But I wanted egg roll. Brian did get some of the crisp because he's not gluten free, and he put it in his afterwards. But we made the egg roll in a bowl and used and made the sauce that I had for that. We used white pepper so you'd get that Asian hot flavor, and it was addicting. I will put it on everything, and it was all in one pot. I'll get you all the recipe for that. And the point is that because of we're doing so many new things at QHS and everything is shifting. I don't know when I'll be able to get that out, but if we're not going to do it on a show in the near future, I'll just print it and ask Tracy to put it out for all of you. I'll just give her the PDF. But what I did was I used, how an egg roll will have like cabbage sliced real thin and all that. We use the coleslaw mix that already comes, with the little carrot sticks in it. You just buy it in a package for coleslaw. That's what we used instead. And in 15 minutes, you've got an egg roll in a bowl that's absolutely delicious. And if you want to add those crispy noodles afterwards so that they don't get soggy, after you've stirred it with the sauce, you just put the crispy noodles on top. So I had everything but the crispy noodles. And Jorgen, we added sauteed ground chicken because I needed more protein. I've really been tired this week, and that tells me I need more protein. So we added the sauteed ground chicken with onions and garlic to the mix. But Jorgen, it's a vegetarian dish. It's one pot. It's all the thin sliced cabbage. You can use red and green cabbage. It's got the little tiny slivers of carrot. And the sauce has nothing in it that we can't have. And you just put it all together. It was so good. So I'll get that written up and ask Tracy if we're gonna, I don't know what our show schedule is gonna be. So I can't tell you when we'll do it. But if we're not gonna do it in the near future, I'll make sure that all of you get the recipe. It was really good, and it was so fast that I'm having the leftovers for lunch. It was delicious. So it's an egg roll in a bowl. Yeah, I can see Magda salivating over there.
It's good.
Yeah, I know. I love that kind of food. Okay, Sandy's tasting.
It's good.
Okay, Sandy. What is
It's
it?
good.
What flavor is the predominant thing you're tasting, hon?
I believe the, oh, what's it called?
Baharat?
Yeah,
Baharat?
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so is it
I'm-
cinnamon? Is it more cinnamon? Is it more black pepper? What are you tasting?
Probably a cinnamon.
The cinnamon, yeah, that's the predominant one. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you like the flavor of it hot?
I do. I do.
Did
And
you
I
use?
even-
Did you
I
use?
even put a little bit of whipped cream on it, and it was really good.
Woohoo.
Show us your spoon. Show us your spoon. There is that the chocolate?
That's the chocolate.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
Can
All
you
right.
see it?
So, yep.
Yeah.
See it in this on the spoon, yeah. And so
Oh,
remember
nice.
something, like she's showing us, it's very thick in the spoon. If you were making sipping chocolate, okay, don't put as much of the thickener, whether it's cornstarch or whatever. Maybe add a little bit more almond milk. You still want it thick, but you want it to coat the spoon, but not stay on the spoon. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That's the sipping chocolate consistency, like a pudding that is still hot that hasn't solidified yet. Okay, okay, Teresa, it's your turn to taste it and let us know what you think. What grade do I get, Sandy?
Oh, probably an 8.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good. What would
I'm
make it a
always
10?
hot.
Hold on.
I'm always high on my stuff.
Okay, Teresa. Hers is cold. She kept it refrigerated now, so.
It's very good. I taste the cinnamon, but you get like, I don't know, another taste in there.
Uh-huh.
You know, I was worried with all those spices it was going to be bad news.
I knew you were all worried. That's why. You know what? You're probably tasting the let's see, not the cinnamon. Help me out, Lena, because it didn't print the whole thing. The what am I trying to say? Not the cumin.
Cardamom.
The cardamom.
Nutmeg.
Cardamom.
Cardamom. That's the predominant one. I bet you're tasting. I bet that's what you're tasting too, Sandy. Because
Yeah,
cardamom
probably.
yeah, cardamom is very strong, but it's a wonderful flavor.
It is.
And so it is. So what would you say? Would you make it again?
Oh,
I
you
would make it
definitely.
again. Yeah.
Okay. And then if you top it with some fruit and some whipped cream like Sandy did, with whipped cream, it's delicious. Okay. Now, thank you for that, Teresa. I'm glad that you made it ahead of time. Any comments before I go on?
Well, I like it because I'm type 1 diabetic. I have to do the evaluation, but I made it with sugar-free chips, that cocoa powder that I had from Jamaica, the almond milk.
Good.
So the cornstarch is probably the only thing that's going to put carbs in there, and maybe a little of the sugar-free. But I think my sugar-free chocolate chips just had 1 gram of carb per.
Right. No,
So
those are okay for you're type 1, I'm type 2, and they're okay for most people. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would make it again because it's a dessert that has a richness to it that I could eat rather than usually I just don't eat it. You know,
Me too. And then I'm craving something sweet and don't know what to have.
and it's usually chocolate that I'm craving.
Now, see, it's interesting because as a young adult, all the way through my 20s, oh my God, I crave chocolate so bad. I didn't know I had so much candida though at that time. Nobody was talking about it then. Now, chocolate bar could sit here and I wouldn't eat it, but I love the pudding and I love chocolate mousse. Those are some of my favorite desserts because they're light. It's not like eating a chocolate bar, you know, or a thick piece of chocolate cake. I mean, I would rather have a key lime pie than a piece of chocolate cake. I love the tartness. Yeah, Sandy too. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
Just a question. You mentioned candida. So how does this affect candida? I mean, if you're treating it, I'm
It
not
doesn't.
sure.
It doesn't.
Okay.
If you're only using the little bit of the sugar in the raw, think about it. If you're using 1/8 of a cup and you're making 6 cups or 8 cups of it, it isn't enough to affect it. Just think of it this way, Nancy. If a diabetic can eat it without having a blood sugar rise, it doesn't feed candida.
Okay.
Okay? The little bit of cornstarch isn't going to feed candida.
Okay.
Now, if you were having a half a cup of corn, like corn on the cob or corn kernels, oh yeah, I can't do that. You probably can't either, Teresa. I mean, my blood sugar just spikes. Okay,
Not without
but if
count.
you're having it right, and so you have to be able to remember that if it's those small quantities, Nancy, don't freak out over, oh, it's going to feed the candida. You have to be able to satisfy the emotional part of the flavors that we enjoy as human beings as well. And that's why I make like the avocado pudding. Have you made my avocado pudding? Oh my God. I mean, you throw it in the Vitamix and you're done. It's delicious. And so there again, I use the avocado, the same chocolate powder or cocoa powder, which is the Guittard. And I use heavy cream, which Teresa, being a diabetic, knows that if you use heavy cream, there's no sugar. If you use half and half or milk, there is. So you're not feeding the candida and you're not feeding the diabetes. Okay?
That's good to know because I am pre-diabetic. So.
And that's why I use heavy cream in my coffee. I don't use half and half. For years, I used half and half until I realized that was raising my blood sugar. Okay? And probably feeding, yeah, and Sandy's shaking her head too. Yeah, heavy cream has, if you look at the containers, has no sugar, no carbs, and no sugar. It's pure, unadulterated cream. Okay.
So if you're treating your candida with your recommendation, you're still okay to eat this, even though.
Absolutely. Okay. This one and the chocolate pudding with the avocado, which only has 3 ingredients, for God's sakes. Yeah, it's delicious. Okay. And there'll be some other. I'm experimenting. You're welcome, hon. I love key lime pie, as I said. So I'm experimenting with a key lime crust-free pie and a key lime pudding that doesn't have any sugar or carbs. So we'll stay tuned. We'll work on that as soon as I can. Okay. So thanks for that, Teresa. That was great. Let's see. Linda's still cooking. I think she's the only one left.
I think I'm done. I'm gonna let it cool a little bit before I put it in my containers.
Have you tasted it though?
I spooned a little into this.
Okay, so have you tried it yet?
Well, it may be too hot. No.
Yeah, it cools down pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh my.
Is that a good?
Very rich.
Now, so that Nancy knows too, you wouldn't feel deprived eating that, would you?
So no. Say that again.
You wouldn't feel deprived eating that kind of a dessert. No, see? So don't deprive yourself. Here's the thing that happens when people go on any kind of a detox diet or a special diet. You know, people that have gone very strict, and bless their hearts, they lose it. My sister was one. They lose tons of weight, and then they're so starved when they're done. They gain it back because they go right back to what they were doing. Much like Tracy says, you know, the Hippocrates quote, you have to be willing to give up what got you sick or got you heavy in order to be able to get well. It's the same thing with any kind of a detox. Yeah, you cannot deprive yourself. It's like, and this is probably something, I know it's controversial. When I have patients that have been smokers for many, many years, I mean, some for 30, 40, 50 years, they go to a doctor and they want to put them on a patch or they want to give them something else, you know, a medication of some kind. That's not the protocol I use. They cut down their cigarettes little by little. So if they're smoking, like my mother used to smoke 3 packs a day, if she was my patient today, bless her soul, I would say cut it down 1 pack a day. So go ahead and have your 2 packs. And then they do that for a few weeks, depending on how they're doing with their cravings. and then they cut it back again, to the point where I have people right now having one cigarette after their dinner, because they like it after a meal or after lunch. Okay, one cigarette twice a week. Like Tuesdays and Thursdays is their cigarette day, and they laugh about it. But they're able to get off of it. The body doesn't go into shock. It's no different than when you're trying to. It's a little different than alcoholism, because that's a whole different ballgame. But when you're trying to go on a diet, or when you're doing a diet to help kill the fungus and or blood sugar issues, don't deprive yourself, because emotionally it's not healthy. We have to be mind, body, spirit in total balance. So find things like this that really work, that don't have a lot of, that don't have carbs and sugars other than one or two. Did any of you see my post about Ollipops? Ollipops. Oh my goodness. I think Steph might have, because I put, and maybe Lena did. Ollipops, I didn't know what they were. I'll have to get a can before I hang up. It's a soft drink. I don't drink soft drinks. I don't think I've ever had a Pepsi in my life, or a Coke. I did have root beers when I was younger, once in a while, from A&W, but it comes in a can. It's a soft drink. And when I posted it, everybody said, Brian, bless his heart, Brian's bringing me an Ollipop. Ollipop. This is ginger lemon. Okay? And listen to this. Ollipop combines the classic soda you know and love with probiotics, which feeds the good bacteria in our gut, plant fiber, and botanicals to support your microbiome in your gut and digestive health. Finally, a refreshing soda that's actually good for you. It has 3 grams of sugar in the whole can. And this is my favorite, ginger lemon. There's a strawberry one, but it's a little too sweet for me. And it is sweetened with, it does have carbs, but it's not carbs like from flour and things that you're thinking of. Let me see where the ingredients are. Hold on, so I can tell you right here. With cactus. You know, the cactus that people eat. Okay, sweetened with that. So that's where you get your carbs. It's got artichoke inulin. Inulin is what is a prebiotic. It's got kudzu root, ginger juice, lemon juice, apple juice concentrate. So you get a little bit of the carbs from that. And it's sweetened with, it's got Himalayan sea salt and stevia leaf. It is so good, especially on a hot day. You know, we keep them really cold. There's all kinds of flavors. There's root beer, but this is my favorite. The strawberry one is good, but it's too sweet for me. I don't like that real sweet. So just quickly, as a side note, I posted it on one of our chats, on our admin chat, and everybody didn't, nobody knew what it was. They all ran out and bought it, and they got it at Costco for less money than I can buy it, because I can't get to a Costco easy here. So I just bought it at the grocery store. So look for it, because it's a way to have a treat, Nancy. Like you want something sweet, okay? And you can, put it in a nice glass and pretend it's a cocktail or whatever. But what I like about this is when I'm really stressed or tired and I'm having some digestive issues, my stomach kind of hurts, or a little heartburn or indigestion, you know what I'm saying, and stress brings it on. This not only helps me have a healthy burp, okay, not an ugly loud burp, but a healthy burp to get those gases out that form in our stomach, but it helps the digestion because it's lemon and ginger. So to me, that kind of a treat is worth it. You can't have 5 or 6 a day, but I have mine after dinner at night, because that's usually when I have my biggest meal. Okay, so there's a good example of another thing you can do, hon, that feeds that part of us that wants to have that stuff with a little sweetness and a little. But this is the carbs from this is all from cactus and all the other things the roots that I was telling you, not from flour or sugar or anything like that. Okay, so as I find things, I'll share it with you. Brian's the one that found it. I didn't. We were going down the grocery aisle one day a few months ago, and they had a whole display. I guess they'd given samples, And he picked one up and said, look, this is actually healthy. And we bought just one to see what it was like, and we buy a dozen a week now. So that each of us can have one after dinner. So it's that good. So don't worry about that, okay?
Right.
Just pay attention, and we'll all share when we find things so that we don't have to feel deprived. Feeling deprived is also not healthy. Remember that, okay? Find a way to have your glass half full, not half empty.
I just
What are you
wanted
laughing
to
at?
add, no, because actually with our devices now, because I was a sugarholic,
Uh-huh.
I'm doing really well, but I'm doing a lot of green drinks and stuff like that for what's going on with me through Darlene. But anyway, once in a while, like you say, like I'm just like, I don't drink other than if I go out. And
Right.
all of a sudden it's like you go, okay, I need something, like you've got me on the mushroom coffee. So, but this will
Exactly. I know. I just ordered another 12 packs or 10 packs of my mushroom coffee.
Yeah.
But yes, this is a treat. It's Olipop. Just think of it as lollipop, but it's Olipop.
Yeah, that's great.
So there's your tip for the day.
On my
Okay.
list.
Yeah, it's on your list. If you have a Costco close by, go to Costco. They're less expensive. I think I paid $2.25 a can, and they paid a lot less in little 6 or 12 packs. Yeah, so they're not cheap, but they're a treat and they're healthy. So
Thank
okay,
you.
Linda, it's a winner. You're okay with it?
That's
Teresa
great.
liked it. Sandy? Okay,
Yes.
so remember we talked about the spice. Now I'm going to go blank, Leanna. Help me here. Which is the one that we said besides cinnamon?
Cardamom.
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 If you're brewing coffee, or even if you use the instant mushroom coffee that I use and that Magda now uses, put a pinch, which to me, if you have the measuring spoons, it's a drop in a mug. It's that small. It's a little pinch of cardamom in your coffee. Not only does it help digestion, it reduces the acidity of coffee, and the flavor is amazing. If you've had coffee with a sprinkle of cinnamon, like some of the coffee shops do, and you like it, you'll like cardamom even better. Okay, so don't think that your cardamom is just for, cooking exotic food. Put it in your coffee, whether it's instant or it's brewed. If you're brewing it like in the regular coffee makers, which I haven't used for years, but if you're brewing it where you put your coffee in your filter in your thing, just put a pinch or two if you're making several cups. But per cup, it's about a drop in my little measuring spoons. So I can't tell you how much that is, but maybe a 16th of a teaspoon or something like that. It's that tiny. But put it in there and you're going to notice the difference. But it's also a helpful benefit. It's healthy for you. It helps digestion. And when it helps digestion, it's going to help your elimination. And when your elimination is working well in conjunction, in tandem with your digestion, then everything that shouldn't be in your lower GI is taken out. Okay? Along with having good hydration. Yes, Linda, go ahead.
I'm changing the subject just a little bit. I wasn't on last
That's
week's
okay.
call with the salmon.
Uh-huh.
Brother that is in Nairobi, Kenya. He's a Jesuit priest, and he only gets to come back.
I saw your post. I saw your post.
He only gets to come back to the States every 3 years. And so he was spending 3 weeks here. But I thought, I wasn't going to cook. The other thing is my husband does not like me cooking fish in the house. So I thought, oh, great. So my husband left to go to a car show for the weekend, and my brother was here. Yeah, my brother says, I love salmon. So we had that recipe for supper Thursday night, this past Thursday, and he just raved and raved about it. It was so good. And I think my salmon was good because every once in a while when I get salmon in a restaurant, it tastes, I guess you understand, a little fishy. It's got a little, a little strong taste to it, but the salmon was really good. And then I had,
didn't you have cabbage or something?
Yeah, I had steamed cabbage and put some of the extra sauce on that just to give it a little different taste. But thank
And
you,
did he
Dr.
love it?
Gloria. That was a wonderful meal.
You're welcome. And I
Good.
saw your pictures. She mentioned on the post that her brother was here, but how cool. He's a Jesuit priest in Africa. How long has he been there?
Oh gosh.
Forever?
35 years maybe.
Oh,
Very
bless his
long.
heart. Okay. Yeah. So see, that's the beauty of it, because then you find other uses for it. I mean, you can use it on vegetables. You make a jar of that, you're talking about the drunken salmon with the if you make a little jar of it and you put it on vegetables, all of a sudden a plain vegetable dish. Let's say you have broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage, which I love together. And you sprinkle this on it. I have to steam, as you all know, my vegetables, or I can't chew them. So I even steamed the ones for the bowl that we made on Saturday or on Sunday. Yesterday we made it. I had to steam them, because if I just open the package of the coleslaw mix, I can't chew it. It doesn't cook long enough in the sauce. So I steam it. It gets nice and soft, but not mushy, and then we add it to the dish. Well, if you just sprinkle that on a bunch of vegetables and some, slightly shredded carrots and whatever, you've got a gourmet meal that doesn't have any meat. You can make it a vegetarian meal, or do what I did and I'm off of pork and beef right now. My body doesn't want it right now. And so I have a lot of ground organic chicken, and it was delicious. So there again, you can put that on it. But yesterday we made my other Asian sauce, which I will give you all the recipe for. Thank you for sharing that, Linda. I saw your post. Thank you for posting that. It looked lovely. Then I have a question for Steph. You're not going to get out of this, Steph. When we did the show with the salmon, you said you were going to go buy some liquor and you were going to make it. Did you get around to making it?
Did.
And
I'm not a fan of bourbon. I could actually taste the difference. I like the way the
really?
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, could I try something else? I got some salmon I took out today. I was trying to think if
Let's
there's
see. Did
another.
you like the sauce itself, but not the bourbon, right?
Right. Yeah, my sister
Wow.
liked it though.
I don't. She did. Yeah. Go ahead, Magda. I'm not sure what we could use that would make it that way.
Steph,
Help us out here.
I didn't have bourbon either, but I had a bottle of old whiskey that I found in the closet, and I used the whiskey, and it tasted fine. I don't know, bourbon
Can
and
you handle
whiskey
the
is not the
whiskey?
same thing, right?
No.
No.
But if it tasted okay, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
the idea that it gets thicker and that it's a nice rich sauce. The bourbon is the original recipe. I'm just trying to think, does anybody have any suggestions on what you could use for like a bourbon flavor? You know what, Steph? Oh no, you don't like the flavor of bourbon, right?
Right.
I was going to say, because
Yeah,
they
I
have
can't help
bourbon
it. I'm a tequila
extracts that-
girl.
yeah, well, I don't blame you. I really don't know what you could substitute. What I would do is just make the sauce and maybe put a little bit of the Worcestershire, my recipe of Worcestershire, and don't put in, because Worcestershire is strong, and so is bourbon.
Yeah, I could have did
Try
that.
that.
Yeah.
Don't ruin the whole batch, but try it and see how that tastes. Make the batch with exactly as the recipe without the bourbon. Then take a little bit and put a little bit of the homemade Worcestershire sauce and see how that tastes. And if you
Okay.
like it, then you can add it to the whole thing. I'll do some research, because I have a girlfriend who is a ex-alcoholic, and she has to change everything, even if it's an extract. She can't have it, and she has found alternatives to everything. So I will ask her and say, what could we do in this sauce? I don't think she's made this in this sauce that would give us similar taste. I'll let you know, but I think right now the Worcestershire,
Okay.
the homemade Worcestershire, would give it that flavor. Okay.
All
Try
right.
it.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, ladies. Yeah, go ahead, Magda.
I just wanted to mention that, excuse me, excuse me. Yesterday I made the no mayo potato salad, and it was delicious.
Ah,
It's been a while since we
really
made
good.
that, and it's so good. It's
Yeah.
It's so light and yeah, it's wonderful. So thank you.
What
for
kind
that
of oil
recipe.
did you use?
I
You're
use
welcome. What kind of oil?
avocado oil.
Okay, so here's a hint, Magda. I've mentioned to all of you that being in Texas, I had no idea there was pecan oil. You know, I mean, I'm from California and I spent all those years in Idaho and Washington, right? Oh my goodness. If you make that salad or any salad dressing with pecan oil, don't cook with it, it's too expensive. But if you can buy yourself a little bottle of pecan oil, pure organic pecan oil, and use it for that, you will never go back to using avocado oil. It is that
I've
good.
got a
Or any
pecan
salad
tree.
dressing. Yeah, I know you do, and you have a fig tree too.
Oh yeah, and the
And
tree
I'm out
and
of
the
my,
figs are growing larger than they did the first time too.
oh wow.
oh my goodness. Well,
Yummy.
I'm about ready to order some more of my fig balsamic vinegar. That's my favorite. I use that just on salads. I just toss it and don't even put anything else. But if you
Interesting.
can, there is let's see, it's not Texas though. Believe it or not, it's bottled somewhere on the East Coast. But I'll get you the link for it. But just buy a pure pecan oil. They sell it, you know, several places sell it. I haven't looked at Amazon because I bought it here locally. And I thought it was made, you know, bottled in Texas. It's not. It's bottled on the East Coast. And oh my goodness, it's got this very mild, sweet flavor, not overpowering, just barely a sweet flavor, where the flavor of avocado oil is very neutral, right? It picks up whatever it's in. This gives that salad an amazing, you know, lift. So I think as much as you like that, I would say get a little bottle of pecan oil. You won't regret it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for
Oh.
that. Okay, Lena's going to give us heads up on next Monday. It's Labor Day. There will be no cooking show, but you're still going to get a recipe because it's a recipe for, what is it, 5 hors d'oeuvres, Spanish hors d'oeuvres? I think it's 5,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it's a goat cheese and
5.
caramelized onion pisco. And there's 5 different versions.
And
So
they're
you can just,
amazing. And they're all the ones I learned to make when I lived in Spain. And I give you a little background because my mother was from northern Spain. And so I give you a little background of, you know, who's the competition between North Spain and, you know, southern Spain, and how they make their hors d'oeuvres different when you go to restaurants or their tavernas or their pubs. But it's kind of a fun thing to have around the holiday, because then you can experiment with the hors d'oeuvres and adjust it to your taste. Okay, I mean, if you can't have one thing, make something else. But it gives you several options, and they're my favorite hors d'oeuvres when I was entertaining a lot. So, do you have the names of them there, Lena? Because I don't have mine pulled up. Oh, maybe I do. Hold on.
so we have the
No.
easy Spanish Gilda recipe,
Gilda.
and then the smoked salmon and cream cheese. There's the classic Spanish tortilla, and then the Spanish tortilla, and then the goat cheese and caramelized onion. So there's 5 different versions there.
Right, and the tortilla is like a big. Just a minute, Nancy. The tortilla is like a big. Oh my gosh, it's like a fat omelet.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's
Mhm.
almost like a fat omelet. You know, you make it usually round, or when I use that for hors d'oeuvres, I don't make it round. I make it in a square cake pan. And then to make it for hors d'oeuvres, you cut it in little squares, put a toothpick or a fancy thing on it with a piece of olive or something, and that is your hors d'oeuvre. So this is made for hors d'oeuvres. You could make it as a main dish, because when we make Spanish tortillas, you know, think of it as having a quiche. That's what I call it. My version of quiche. When I have that, we just serve it with a salad, and that's a meal. We actually make it like a quiche in a round pan, slice it, and have a salad. Well, this is the same. You could use it for that if you wanted to do it like on the holiday and not do a lot of cooking. But if you make it in a square cake pan, then it becomes an hors d'oeuvre when you cut it, and they're real high. It's really cool. And so you can top it with olives or anchovies or whatever you want. Okay, a little bit of. I also love it with. I think I put it in the recipe, Lena. I don't remember. I also love it with capers. just kind of squish some capers into the top of it. So that'll be a fun recipe for all of you, recipes to try over the long holiday. And then we don't know what the schedule will be after that. Cynthia's still working on it. I'm almost sure that we'll continue with the Monday, the schedule we have, but just stay tuned, because once Cynthia gives us the word, Tracy will put it out so that you all know. But next Monday, you're on your own. And then I really want reports
And watch
on how
the
you
newsletter.
like it and how it tasted. Yeah, watch the newsletter. Nancy, you had a question or a comment, hon?
I have a question just on goat cheese, since you mentioned it.
Yes.
I was looking, I can find the soft, but what kind of goat cheese do you use or do you buy for your recipes?
Two kinds. Most of the time I buy the soft in the tube, like they have it at Trader Joe's, and I like the one with honey. And people say, but it's honey, it's going to be sugar. Hello, it's such a small amount of honey, forget it. It's cheese, it's protein. So in my opinion, the small amount of honey in it is neutralized by the huge amount of healthy protein, okay? So don't worry about that, Nancy. Then sometimes I can find it here, not always, but Trader Joe's always has the hard chunks. They're either in a slice, a pie slice, or in a big chunk, and those taste like a grated Parmesan. So you buy the chunk and then just grate it. That's the two that I use. I don't use others, and I'll be honest, I had goats, I had Nubians when I had my farm, and I cannot stand the odor of goat milk. It's something in me I can't do. And if the cheese smells like goat milk, I can't eat it. But when you buy the hard cheese and you grate it, or the soft cheese, the chèvre, which is what they call the soft cheese, not only does it not have any odor, but it's so healthy and it's so tasty. And if you leave it sit out at room temperature a little bit, I cheat. I have a portable oven. And so what I do when I want to soften it is I'll put the oven on medium, like 250 or something, put it on a plate and sit it on top of my oven. So it just softens it enough, and then I smash it with a knife, because I don't want to heat it, but I want it to soften. So I use a lot of goat cheese. I go through 2 or 3 of those little tubes a week of goat cheese.
What?
We made omelets with it the other day. What?
Also, Costco has those good size ones for
Tubes?
pretty reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. But remember, I don't have a Costco close by, so that's why
okay.
I have to go with whatever they have. I don't have a Trader Joe's close by either. I'm in the middle of sagebrush. You got to remember that, Nancy. Magda, go ahead.
Okay, we don't like goat cheese. Is there any other cheese we can use instead?
Brie.
Anything you want, dear heart.
Okay.
Well, see, okay, that brings up a good subject, and I'll talk about that real quick. I love brie.
Me too.
I love Stilton. I don't know if I've ever told you the story about me coming through customs with the Stilton cheese coming back from England. Did I ever tell you that? It's hilarious. Anyway, it smelled like dirty socks when they opened my suitcase, because I had a big round for like $80 of Stilton cheese. I get to New York to JFK, and the guy goes, "We've got a minute. We don't have to do a meditation afterwards, right?" No.
Right.
We're okay with that. All right. So I was back and forth to London when I was living in Europe, from London to the US to see my boys, and back and forth into JFK. And I would buy these big rounds of, not that big, but a round of Stilton cheese, because it was the best, the one they had in England. And so I would bring it, and then I would share it with my girlfriends, because they couldn't get that type here. And I'd go back and I'd eat it all the time. Well, I come through customs with one of my girlfriends that had gone to visit me and came back with me. And she was nervous. She had bought all kinds of shoes and leather goods and was afraid that they were going to say it was too much. This was in the 80s. And so we get through customs at JFK, and I go before her, and she's a basket case. She wasn't used to traveling, didn't know if they were going to get mad at so many shoes or whatever. And so I go through, and the guy opens my suitcase, looks at me, says, "Yeah, just as I thought." He said, ma'am, hold on a minute. He goes back and gets another officer. By that time, my heart's going, like it's going to come out of my body. My girlfriend's freaking out in line behind me. 2 other guys come with uniforms, and they look, put their nose into the suitcase. And I said, officer, what's wrong? Yeah, just as I thought. And I said, but it's cheese. He said, yeah, just like I thought. My wife does the same thing. He says every time she goes and it smells like dirty socks and all my clothes smell that way. So the whole line waiting for security started laughing and clapped. Because, I thought, my God, does he think I have drugs in here or something? I mean, what's the big deal? And they were all laughing because he could smell the cheese and knew that it was the same thing his wife does and his clothes smell like that. So the other reason that I'm making that comment is that anything that has that's inoculated with mold is not good for you because that's the candida. So I don't eat Stilton or blue cheese or brie because they put that blue veining is mold that they inject into it to ferment it. So I can't eat any of those. I haven't eaten any of those since I got sick in the 90s because my candida will come off the chart. You're eating mold. So that's your answer.
Okay.
If you're doing your saliva test and you've got candida, if you don't have candida, eating it occasionally, I don't believe would hurt. But my goodness, I mean, you're injecting a fungus, a mold into the cheese to cure it. And so just be careful. I mean, I could sit there and eat brie all day long. I love brie melted with some fig jam. Oh my God. In the oven. I mean, that's
great.
like, yeah, it's amazing. But not if you have candida or if you are diabetic, because that will raise your blood sugar and it'll also be very detrimental because it will feed the fungus. Sorry to give you the bad news, but if you don't like goat cheese, have you tried the soft chèvre?
No.
Okay. Do you have a Trader Joe's close by?
Yeah.
Okay. Buy the one that says with honey. It's a little tube. It's only do you have one? No, I thought Nancy was going to show you one. It's a small tube, and it says and it just says with honey.
Okay. I'll try it.
Try that. It's amazing. Try it. Yeah, and let me know. Yeah, Nancy, go ahead.
I bought a little one. We have grocery outlets here in California, and they have the little ones. I bought it the other day, so now I have to try it. Yeah.
It's very good. And if you're going to put it on crackers, oh, see, hers is different. Mine is not wrapped that way, but it says goat. What does it say, goat?
It says goat milk cheese. And this one's Spring Garden. Oh my gosh, it is so good.
Is it? Does it say chèvre anywhere? Chevre?
I lost some.
Okay, see, the chèvre's a little different. Chèvre is more like a thick cream cheese.
Yeah.
So you might want to soften it. Put it on top of your oven or something. Don't warm it in the microwave, God forbid.
This reminds me of like a
Is
cream.
it? See that?
It's real soft.
Okay, see, and the chèvre isn't. It's a little firmer, but you can, like I said, you can soften it or you can put it in the top of a double boiler and it spreads just, oh my gosh, like butter. It's delicious. And if you can have a little fig jam, I would suggest you put some on top of it and put it in the oven and just let it melt with the fig jam. Oh my goodness, it's totally addicting. That's why I was saying to Steph, I sent her a note and said, I want my fig balsamic, Steph.
Yes, I'm gonna try to make some of this stuff you talking about. I'm gonna try to see, because I'm gonna tell you, I have never seen as many figs as I have this year.
You need to tell our family here. You need to tell our family your story, because this is your second crop this year.
Yeah. This year, and I've never seen that before. We had a whole bunch in the April-May time frame, and then it went dormant, and the tree, it looked like it was over, and then all of a sudden, like maybe a week and a half ago, I started getting more figs, and now they're even larger.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
but tell them how far it is from your HHS. That's the
Oh,
model to the story.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually not that far. It's like on the outside of the wall. So you're talking about 15 feet, maybe?
Wow.
And she's the one that had the huge chickens because they're also close to the HHS. So
Right, but I don't have any
we're
eggs
all
yet.
saying thank you.
Get mine.
No, they're just big, but no eggs yet. But that's why we're
Yeah, no
saying
eggs
thank
yet.
you to the HHS because she's got a second crop of figs. My power is going
Mhm.
on and off. We weren't supposed to have any rain, mind you, for the next 15 days, and it just started thundering and lightning. So I'm going to cut this short. Love you all. Have a great, safe, and healthy holiday weekend here in the States. And Jorgen, thank you as always. Let me know how you like your vegetarian recipes. Thank you. Love you all. And
Thank you.
Lena, as always, thank you. You're a great host. Thank you so
Thank
much for
Keep guys.
directing the show here for us. And
Not a problem.
we will let you know when we'll see each other face to face. But next weekend, you're on your own. I want to hear
Yeah.
reports and pictures.
Keep
okay?
an eye on your newsletter. You'll get updated there.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
God
All
bless.
right.
Take care.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.